Okay. We have some questions.
Tenemos algunas preguntas.
And I will read, see what we have.
Voy a leer a ver qué tienen. Por aquí.
One is, please explain the difference between restrictive and permissive.
Por favor, explica la diferencia entre restringido y permitido.
Okay, and my son even, he came and showed me a verse just during break.
Mi hijo vino y me enseñó un verso durante el break.
And it is a bit of a fine line.
Y es una línea muy fina.
Because in the case of Job,
Porque en el caso de Job,
God could have said,
Dios pudo haber dicho,
devil, I don't want to listen to this. You stay away from my servant
enemigo, no
Job
quiero escuchar nada de
altogether.
eso.
I don't want to hear it.
No lo quiero escuchar, así que sal.
You don't have permission to do
No tienes
anything.
permiso de hacer nada.
So
Así que
he said to the devil
él le dijo
after
al
the
enemigo,
first affliction,
después de la primera aflicción,
though you incited me against him for no cause.
tú me incitaste a él sin ninguna razón o sin ningún costo.
Now, incited doesn't mean that God followed through with that. It just
En
talks
realidad
about
no
the talk.
significa que Dios prosiguió con eso,
But then later on, at the end of the story,
pero al
you
final de la
see
historia, como pueden
that
ver,
it's all the trouble that the Lord brought on him.
todo el problema que trajo sobre él.
So, to restrict is to prevent something.
Para restringir es prevenir algo,
To permit is
para permitir
to allow it.
es permitir. Sí.
And so, I wanted to get the point across
Quería traer este punto
that God was not
que
specifically
Dios no estaba específicamente
inciting the devil
incitando al enemigo
against Job.
en contra de Job.
Okay, so I hope that clears that up.
But I'm sorry, but what did God respond to? Why did God engage in that conversation with Satan?
Okay, why
La
did
pregunta es por qué
God
Dios
engage in the
se envolvió en la
conversation
conversación
in the first place?
en el inicio.
The best I can tell is that he was bragging on Job.
Lo que yo te puedo explicar, lo mejor que puedo decir es que él estaba
Jactándose.
Look at my servant Job. There's no one like him in the.
Jactándose.
jactándose.
No, jactándose yo creo que es una palabra. Para mí que él estaba orgulloso.
Orgulloso.
Es jactarse, es orgullo.
Oh, yo pensé hartándose.
No, jactarse.
Oh, see that word, just the letter.
Spanish people, we like this.
Sí, orgulloso.
Okay.
He was proud of him.
Ya.
All right. So I hope that clears that up. The second question.
La segunda pregunta es,
Paul wrote most of the New Testament. Who are we to correct him by criticizing the way he prayed about the thorn in his flesh?
Pablo escribió la mayoría del Nuevo Testamento. ¿Quiénes somos nosotros para corregir o criticar la manera en que él oró acerca de su aguijón en la carne?
Okay, so this is a misunderstanding.
Okay, esto es un malentendido.
Yeah. We are not trying to correct Paul,
No estamos corrigiendo a Paul
nor are we criticizing him,
o criticándolo,
but we are
pero estamos
recognizing that he
reconociendo
was criticizing himself.
que él se estaba criticando él mismo.
Remember that he was comparing himself
Recuerda que él se estaba comparando él mismo
to these proud super apostles who boast about
con
themselves.
estos apóstoles que estaban exaltándose ellos mismos o gloriándose ellos mismos.
So the super apostles are saying, "Oh,
Así que
we're
los
big and great."
superapóstoles estaban diciendo, oh, nosotros somos muy grandes.
And Paul says, "I'm nothing. I'm weak."
Y Pablo estaba diciendo, yo no soy nada, yo soy débil.
And he concludes by saying
Y él concluye diciendo
that he is strong in me.
que
Jesus is strong in
que
me.
Jesús es fuerte en él.
this is the same Paul who wrote in Philippians,
Ese es el mismo Pablo que escribió en Filipenses.
I can do all things
Puedo hacer todas las cosas
through Christ who empowers me.
a través de Jesús que me empodera.
So, definitely.
Definitivamente.
It's brilliant to
Es
know,
brillante.
he's giving an example
Él está dando un ejemplo
how you can tell false leaders from true leaders.
cómo tú puedes distinguir falsos líderes de verdaderos líderes.
So the true leaders are humble.
Los verdaderos líderes son humildes.
True leaders admit their mistakes.
Los verdaderos líderes admiten sus errores.
Okay. True leaders serve.
Los verdaderos líderes sirven.
And the false leaders promote themselves
Y los líderes falsos se promueven ellos mismos.
and are proud of themselves.
Y son orgullosos de ellos mismos.
Okay. So we lift up and uphold the Apostle Paul as a great apostle.
Y decimos que el apóstol Pablo era un gran apóstol.
Okay. So another one we'll deal with later, which is
Otra
please
pregunta.
explain
La vamos a
James 5:16 and 5:14, but we'll get to that later.
Vamos a llegar a esto
Okay, so
luego.
we'll keep this here someplace.
Vamos a dejarlo por aquí.
It's a reminder that we will get to it. Thank you. Okay. Now,
Ahora
we have the thorn in the flesh we just
Tenemos
talked about.
el aguijón en la carne que acabamos de hablar.
Okay, and there are sacred cows that build on sacred cows.
Y hay vacas sagradas que han crecido de otras vacas sagradas.
So one cow gives birth to another cow,
Una vaquita pare la otra vaquita.
and they all get entangled.
Y todas se enredan.
And the next one
Y la próxima
is not only do they believe
no tan
that
solo cree
the thorn in the flesh was some sickness,
que el aguijón en la carne era una enfermedad,
but somehow they know what the sickness is.
pero de alguna manera piensan cuál esa enfermedad es.
And they say it is an eye problem.
Y dicen después que es un problema en los ojos.
Okay. Now, you've read 2 Corinthians 12. Does it say anything about an eye problem in there?
Acabamos de leer la 2 de Corintios 12. ¿En algún lugar vieron que decía algo de los ojos?
One thing I like doing, since I know the Greek pretty well, is back translating.
Algo que me gusta hacer mucho es, como conozco el griego muy bien, es traducir
From English to Greek,
de inglés a griego
all these silly things they like to read into the
todas estas
scriptures.
cosas tontas que se leen en las escrituras.
And lo and behold, I think it's ophthalma asthenia or something like that. I can't remember which. But it's easy
Es fácil,
to translate back from English into Greek.
es fácil de traducir de inglés al griego.
If you wanted to say it,
Si lo quieres decir,
you could have said,
podría decir,
there was given to me an eye problem
se me fue dado
to
un
buffet
problema en el ojo
me,
para
lest I should
bofetearme,
be exalted above measure.
para que no me exalte de sobremanera.
Now, is that what verse 7 says?
Ahora, ¿es eso lo que el
No.
versículo 7 dice?
There
No.
is a Greek word for eye,
Hay una palabra griega para ojo,
and there's a issue of, there's plenty of words for problem,
y hay
sickness,
muchas otras palabras para enfermedades, para problemas
and other things.
y otras
It
cosas.
doesn't say eye problem.
No en ningún lugar dice un problema en el ojo.
Okay. So, where are they getting the eye problem from?
¿De dónde traen el problema del ojo?
Well, collapsing contexts.
Bueno, colapsando en contexto.
Remember how I talked about that?
¿Recuerdan cuando hablamos de eso?
Okay. Now, one of them,
Bueno, uno de ellos
this is my favorite,
es mi favorito,
is in Galatians chapter 4.
es en Gálatas capítulo 4.
And in Galatians chapter 4,
Y en Gálatas capítulo 4,
I'll read from verse 13. Yeah, page 60 or 47.
47, español, 47.
You know how through an asthenia, okay, weakness of the flesh. Remember, I'm going to bring up that word over and over again, asthenia.
Voy a traer esta palabra de nuevo.
What does asthenia mean? Weakness.
Y significa debilidad.
Weakness. Could be sickness.
Puede ser
That's only one
enfermedad.
kind of weakness. Okay.
Eso es una área de la enfermedad.
Do you know how through weakness of the flesh, I preached the gospel to you at the first? And my temptation, which was in the flesh, you did not despise, nor rejected, but received me as an angel of God. It's actually Agalos, messenger of God, even as Christ Jesus. Where is then the blessedness you spoke of? For I bear you record that if it had been possible, you would have plucked out your own eyes and given them to me.
Bam.
Gálatas 4, el versículo 13 dice, pues vosotros sabéis que a causa de una enfermedad del cuerpo os anuncié el evangelio al principio y no me despreciaste ni rechazaste por la prueba que tenía en mi cuerpo. Al contrario, me recibisteis como a un ángel de Dios, como a Cristo Jesús. ¿Dónde pues está esa satisfacción que experimentabas? Porque os doy testimonio de que si hubieras podido, os habría sacado vuestros propios ojos para dármelos.
Okay. I don't see Acts 13 in here, but
Acts 13 also? Yeah, but
14, sorry, Acts 14.
Hechos 14.
It actually, we know what the infirmity is. You just have to read from another part of the Bible. Okay.
Quiero dar con otro versículo en la Biblia.
Galatians were written to whom?
Gálatas fue escrito ¿a quién?
Where did they live?
¿Dónde vivía?
Gallatin. Oh,
Galatia. Thank you. You said it right the first time. They live in Galatia. Okay. Does anybody have a Bible with the maps at the end? Bible maps?
Bible maps.
that's Atlas.
I got one.
Paul's missionary journeys.
You want me to hold it?
Oh, no, this is a nice big one. I like it. Okay, the conquest of Spain, 12 tribes, David, Paul's first missionary journey.
La,
That's an awesome Bible.
Whoa.
Okay? Thank you for having such a nice big Bible.
gracias por tener una Biblia tan grande.
Okay, you can read about this in Acts 14.
Puedes leer esto en Hechos 14.
They get sent out,
Ellos fueron enviados,
and actually in Acts 13 they get sent out
de hecho en Hechos 14 fue que fueron enviados
from Antioch.
de Antioch.
Okay, there's Salamis, there's Paphos. Remember those cities?
¿Recuerdan estas ciudades?
Follow along in your Bible.
Pueden seguirlo en sus
Perga.
Biblias. Perga,
In Pamphylia, and
Pamphylia.
then they have Pisidian Antioch. That's here.
otra ciudad en Antioch.
And then Iconium, Lystra, and Derbe.
Yeah.
What happened
And
there?
He was beaten.
Paul's first missionary journey.
En la primera misión de Pablo,
All of this is in,
todo eso
what's that
termina
word?
¿cuál es esta palabra?
Galatia.
Gálatas.
All the stuff is in Galatia.
Todo esto es en Gálatas.
Okay. So so in Iconium, it says it
En
right here.
Iconium, dice
Okay,
aquí,
Paul and Barnabas' preaching
Paul
provoked
y Barnabas
division
estaban predicando.
among the people.
Era una
Okay,
división.
and the Jews reject him, and they
Los
flee
judíos
to
rechazaron
Lystra.
y fueron para Lystra.
Okay, Paul heals a lame man,
Pablo sana un hombre en cama
and they proclaimed that Paul
y proclamaron que
and
Pablo
Barnabas are gods. Remember that?
y Barnabás eran dioses.
Okay. Then
Entonces,
the Jews follow
los
him
judíos
from
lo siguieron
Iconium
de Iconia
and from Antioch, Pisidian Antioch and Iconium,
de Antioquía,
knowing that he's there, and
sabiendo que
incite
estaba ahí,
the crowd to a
e
mob.
incitaron a la
What did they do to
multitud
Paul?
que los aprendieran.
They stoned him to death, or nearly to death.
Ellos lo apedrearon y lo dejaron por muerto.
They stoned him to death, or nearly to death. We don't know
Ellos lo
which.
apedrearon y
They
lo
leave-
dieron por muerto.
They leave him
Lo
as,
dejaron ahí.
for dead,
Por muerto.
and the brothers
El hermano
gather around him and either, I mean, if he's dead, they raise him from the dead. I don't know.
Lo
If he's
acercaron,
almost dead, they
o lo
pick him up and
levantaron.
take care of him.
y tuvieron cuidado de él.
Okay. Do you know what it's like getting stoned?
¿Ustedes saben lo que es ser apedreado?
I don't either. But it's they throw rocks
Pero te tiran piedras,
at you. Big stones are going to be.
piedras grandes.
Okay. Thank you. Now you know what the affliction was.
Gracias. Ahora ustedes
Galatians
saben de
chapter
dónde la
4.
aflicción
Wasn't that easy?
venía de de Gálatas 4.
So that was his first visit to Galatia, and the Galatians, he's talking about how
Esa
they
era
cared for him
Su primera
in his
visita
affliction.
de
Yes.
Gálatas.
Yes, he was afflicted.
Sí, estaba afligido.
He was just stoned to death, or nearly to death.
La acababan de apedrear y dejarlo por muerto.
Okay. He did not have an eye problem.
Él no tenía un problema en los ojos.
Come on, say it, speak.
All right. I mean, I suppose I should, I don't know
Bueno, yo no sé
where the stones hit.
en dónde la piedra le dio,
I mean, it could,
le pudieron haber dado
you know, maybe temporarily. I mean, he had some injuries.
en
Okay.
la cabeza.
So that takes care of that sacred
Bueno.
cow. Everybody understand now?
Eso,
Okay.
eso cubre esa vaca
Galatians 4:13 to 15 is talking about his
sagrada. Galacia 4 del 13 al 15
their caring for him after he was nearly stoned to death,
habla de
or
ellos
stoned to death.
teniendo
And-
cuidado de él después que fue apedreado.
And that's what you read in Acts 14, but you
Y
have
eso
to
es lo
read
que
both.
leen
That's why you read the whole Bible.
en Hechos 14. Pero tienes que estudiarlos ambos, por eso es que tienen que estudiar la palabra.
Okay. Let's go on.
Vamos a continuar.
Eye problem hint number 2.
Problema de los ojos número 2.
Galatians 6:11 through 18.
Gálatas 6,
6:11.
6:11.
What page is that?
Okay. Galatians 6:11.
46, español.
Oh, 59 English.
46 en español. Página 46.
Okay.
Okay.
It reads, you see what large letters I have written to you with my own hand.
Mira cuán grandes letras os he escrito con mi propia mano.
Now, I've looked in this in detail.
Ahora, yo he estudiado esto en detalle.
This is a matter of scholastic dishonesty.
Esto es una manera de deshonestidad.
The actual Greek word for
La palabra griego
letter here
para la palabra letra aquí
is graphe,
es grafé
in the different variations.
en diferentes variaciones.
Graphe,
Grafé.
and graptos, and all kinds of things like that. So, and what it refers to
Lo
is
que
an
se refiere
inscription.
es en la escritura.
And gramma,
El grama.
graphe is a thing that is
Grafa es,
um,
grafa es,
printed.
Printed.
grafa es
written, and
Escrito.
gramma is the effect of writing.
Grammar
And,
es el efecto de
And
escribir.
then graptas is the thing that's written on, and grammatias
Grapta
is
es de cómo es escrito.
a scribe, somebody who writes.
Scribe.
Okay, you get the idea.
Tiene la
It
idea.
refers to writings.
Se refiere al contexto de escritura.
Okay. The word for large
La
is
palabra para grande,
pelikos,
helicos,
and that refers to
¿Y eso se refiere?
it's a how great, how grand.
a cuán grandioso o grande.
Okay. So they translate it large letter.
Solo tradujeron letras grandes,
Sorry, large letters. It's plural.
letras grandes en plural,
Okay, and it's a play on the English language.
y es como un juego en el idioma de inglés.
That's the first thing.
Ese es lo primero.
We get the word letter
Tenemos la palabra letra
from Latin, not Greek.
de latino, no de griego.
Litera
Latera,
in Latin means
En
letter.
latín.
That's where we get the word letter from.
letra.
But the original Greek is
El griego original es
gramma,
gramma,
which refers to a thing,
que se
the effect of
refiere
writing. So it's
el
anything
efecto
that's
de
written.
escritura.
Okay. In English,
En inglés,
the word letter can mean two things.
la palabra letra quiere decir dos cosas.
It can mean an alphabetic character,
Puede ser un carácter del alfabeto o una letra del alfabeto,
as opposed to a number or punctuation or special character.
supuesto como un signo de exclamación o punto,
Okay.
etc.
So if you look at something,
Si ves algo,
okay, this is a number,
eso es un número,
and that's a letter,
y
and
eso
a
es una
letter, and a
letra, una
letter.
letra,
Number,
número,
and the colon is a special character.
y el colon
Those
es
are
un
characters.
carácter especial.
That's only in English. I don't know what it is in Spanish.
Eso
Is it?
solamente es en inglés. Eso,
Do you have
punto
the
de
same thing?
exclamación.
What's the translation of letter to Spanish?
Letra.
And what does it mean?
Letra.
The same thing.
Es the
Letter,
same.
yeah.
Yeah, letter.
Either the character,
Yes.
or this is the second thing. A
will have to
letter
think
that I
about
write
that.
to somebody.
No, but that is carta.
En español no.
Carta es
No hay, ¿verdad?
carta.
Solo para el alfabeto.
Carta
Para el
flor.
alfabeto.
Carta.
Because English use letter and letter for the letter and to write a letter. In
Okay.
Spanish, letra is
the actual character.
Letter. And carta is letter.
Oh,
Carta is
so it's even worse in Spanish.
yes. It has two different words with the
That's
same
what we
meaning.
call Hispanic. Hispanic. We make everything panic.
So now, you see how the plot is thickening.
Esto es para que ustedes vean cómo la diferencia
Because
aplica.
in
Porque
English,
en inglés
it's either a
Es-
alphabetic character or
O
a
una letra
document
alfabética.
that I write to somebody.
o un documento que le escribes a una persona.
Right.
But in Greek, it just refers to anything written.
Pero en griego se refiere a cualquier cosa escrita.
Like logos.
Now, logos is
No, logos
word,
palabra.
principle, statement.
es principio,
Statement, that wouldn't be. So, gramma,
grammar.
I looked through and I could not
Yo he buscado,
find
no he visto
a
nada,
place where
no encontré
it
nada,
really referred to a alphabetic character. I do
donde se
not
refiere
believe
a un carácter del alfabeto, una letra del alfabeto.
that the Greek language has a specific
No creo que el
word
idioma
for
griego
alphabetic character.
tenga una palabra específica para
Ok.
las letras del alfabeto.
So by playing this into English,
Así que moviendo eso a inglés,
they can make it look like
pueden hacerlo ver
as if he's talking about the characters he's
como si
writing,
él está hablando de los caracteres o las letras que él está escribiendo,
and that they are large,
como si fuesen grandes,
Can see.
so because he can't see.
porque él no puede ver.
They didn't have these guys.
Exacto.
Okay,
She has
and
I just wanted to reiterate, so what you're saying is that it could be what you just described, or it could be a grand writing, look what a grand letter is.
okay. So
That's the point.
what she said
lo que ella dice
it could be
que puede ser que
a
puede
grand
ser
writing. Actually,
una gran carta.
going back to the word pelikos,
Yendo para atrás para la palabra pelikos,
it's used one other time
es usada una
in the New
vez
Testament.
adicional en el Nuevo Testamento
It's talking about Melchizedek.
y está hablando de Melquisedec,
What a great man he was.
el gran hombre que él era.
Now, they're talking about Melchizedek being a great man.
Hablando de Melquisedec como un gran hombre.
That doesn't mean that Melchizedek was
A good man.
Eso no significa
large.
que él era grande,
He was not fat.
no que era grueso,
It doesn't say he was tall.
no dice que era alto,
He doesn't say he was a giant like
no significa que era un hombre gigante
Like Goliath.
a giant like Goliath. No.
como Goliath.
Okay. He was a great man. What a
Él
great
era
man
un
he was.
gran hombre.
Okay. So now we're getting to what this really means.
Ahora vemos a lo que esto realmente significa.
Look at what grand writings
Mire lo
I
que,
write with my own hand.
mira lo que estas grandes letras,
And they are grand.
y son grandes,
The whole, even Galatians,
aún
it's
Gálatas,
6 chapters long.
es 6 capítulos de largo.
I've written articles myself and posted them
Yo escribo
on my
artículos más
website.
largos
Most of them are not this long.
en mi website que muchos de ellos no son tan largos.
Okay, so he's got grand writings. It says nothing about the letter.
Significa que esto fue una carta grande, no necesariamente es acerca de la letra o del tamaño de la letra.
And you can go through and see all the different places that they
Y
use.
puede ir y ver todos estos lugares, diferentes
Grammar.
lugares que usaron grammar,
And it talks about,
y habla de
that he's a man of much learning, many letters,
que es
much
un
writing.
hombre de grande enseñanza, de mucha escritura,
That he's literate or illiterate.
que es un hombre de literatura.
And all kinds of references. I wrote an
O
article
en su
about it.
referencia, habla de eso, en alguna de sus referencias.
Read it, but it there's only one place where
Hay un lugar
maybe
donde a lo mejor
it comes close,
llega cerca,
and that's where
y
the
es
inscription
donde
on the cross
en
was
la
written
inscripción de la cruz
in
fue
letters
escrito
of
en letras de
Hebrew, Greek, and
hebreo,
Latin. Wait,
griego, arameo,
what was the three? Aramaic? No.
It's 3.
en
Latin, Greek, and either Aramaic or Hebrew. I can't-
latino, griego y otro más,
Okay.
o hebreo o arameo.
But it's not talking about
Pero no está
how the
hablando
character fonts are
De la,
different. It's
el
talking
tamaño de la
about,
letra.
sorry, I'm talking over you again. I forget I've got a translator next. Okay.
I guess that I'm doing a good job because you forgot about me.
Okay. It's 3
Hay
translations,
3 traducciones,
not 3 transliterations.
no 3 literaturas.
Do you know what
transliteraturas.
transliteration means?
¿Ustedes saben lo que transliteratura significa?
Transliteration is like
Transliteratura,
when I say grandma.
cuando digo
Okay.
grammar
In Greek
en
characters,
griego,
that would be gamma, alpha, mu.
gamma, alfa, mu,
No, gamma rho alpha mu mu alpha. Okay, if I were to transliterate
si
that
yo fuese a traducir eso
into Latin characters,
en letras latinas,
Latino.
that would be G-R-A-M-M-A.
eso sería G-R-A-M-M-A.
So to transliterate is character for character
Para transliterar sería letra por letra
without translating.
sin traducir.
Like Spanish.
Okay. So that takes care of,
Bueno, eso
yeah.
toma cuidado.
How much time do we have? What? Okay.
31.
So that takes care of the large letters, and you
Así
can
que
see
eso cubre las letras grandes,
this
como pueden ver.
is scholastic dishonesty.
Esto es
And I've even
scholastic
I've looked at a
deshonestidad.
couple of
Como
lexicons, Vines and thayers, and they fall right in line with that.
Y eso cae en la línea de error de gramática.
When you say scholastics, are you referring to like maybe theologians?
Theologians, people who are scholars.
Personas que eran
Okay.
I kind of figured
escolares.
you meant that because it's true. Like
And they actually go so far, it's circular reasoning.
my point.
Por
Do you know what circular reasoning is?
Sabemos lo que
Okay,
es.
so because A is true, therefore B is true, because B is true, therefore A is true. That,
Right.
Porque A es verdad y C es verdad, no significa que
So-
A es verdad y C no es verdad.
So, Paul had an eye problem,
Paul tenía un problema en el ojo,
therefore he had to write in large letters.
por eso era que tenía que escribir letras grandes.
What's the definition of grama?
¿Cuál es la definición de grama?
Well, the first definition is
La
a
primera definición
alphabetic
es
character.
Letras del alfabeto.
How do we know that?
¿Cómo sabemos esto?
Because Galatians 6:11
Porque Galatas 6:11
reveals that,
nos revela
given that Paul had an eye problem.
que Pablo
Did you
tenía
follow that?
un problema de
Circle?
ojo.
Okay.
It justifies that.
So yes, the one justifies the other.
Así que uno justifica al otro. No.
And it's dishonest. I mean, you
Y
can't,
es deshonesto.
you have to go back to the actual language and see
Tienes
what
que
does the
ir
word mean.
hacia atrás para el lenguaje original para saber qué es lo que significa.
You don't define that word in a Christian lexicon
No podemos definir esa palabra en un lenguaje cristiano
based upon what you've already decided it means.
basado en lo que ya hemos decidido que eso significa.
So, okay. And does that, I hope everybody understood that. I didn't go.
Esperamos que todo el mundo haya entendido eso.
Good. Everybody understands?
¿Entendieron?
You said circular.
Circular reasoning.
Razonamiento.
It's also referred to begging the question.
Eso es como cuestionar la pregunta.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So,
Razonamiento circular.
in other words, a couple of definitions.
Algunas definiciones para eso pueden ser.
Strong's gloss is okay, but there's thayers and vines, and I looked at them, and sure enough, they're defining the word
En los-
according to what they've already decided the word means.
En la I missed that, I'm sorry.
They're defining the
Están definiendo
word
la palabra
according to what they've already
de
decided the
acuerdo
word
a lo que
means.
ya ellos entendían o
Yeah.
que esa palabra significaba.
Then I can always go back to the definition
Siempre pueden ir para atrás a la definición
to prove it means what they say
para
it means.
probar que eso significa lo que usted piensa que significa.
Okay. And that is,
I tried to apply it in Spanish to give it to her. I can't even read it. Too scholar.
What is it?
Oh,
You can even
I
pronounce
speak
it?
the language. Yeah, these are like big words.
Pass.
El mecanismo por el cual se puede hacer dos operaciones, demostrar con más contentuencia, sin silogismo o hacerlo más evidente. I stick to it.
okay.
Thank you, Lord.
The Apostle Paul was very healthy.
El apóstol Pablo era muy saludable.
So it's walking.
All the travels that he did,
Todos los viajes que él daba,
and his own testimony that
su propio testimonio,
he could, if he wanted
que
to,
él podía, si él quería,
boast about all these shipwrecks,
engrandecerse acerca de todas estas cosas,
going without food,
que estaba días sin comer,
getting beaten,
siendo apedreado,
getting whipped,
azotado,
Stoned.
apedreado,
surviving prison,
sobreviviendo las prisiones,
Swim.
and
When he was shipwrecked, he had to swim across.
yeah. And those prisons were not American prisons,
y
by the
esas
way.
prisiones no eran prisiones como las de América.
Seriously.
Okay. So he was
Así
very
que
healthy.
Él era muy saludable, un hombre
And
muy
then
saludable.
it's an irony
Y es una ironía
that the very thing he was healed of,
que
the first thing he was
cosa que
healed
él fue sanado.
what's the first thing he was healed of?
¿Cuál fue la primera cosa que él fue sanado?
Eyesight? His blindness, yeah.
Blindness fell.
He was struck when he was knocked off his high horse,
Cuando él
blinded by the light,
fue alumbrado con la luz,
But he was for
healed by Ananias,
sanado por Ananías,
and he can see.
y él pudo ver.
because he was actually blinded.
So now it seems as
Ahora se ve,
if he's got an eye problem,
si él tenía un problema de ojos,
then either Ananias or God did not do a very good job of healing his eyes.
significa que ya sea Ananías o Dios no hizo un buen trabajo con él.
The lion's spirit.
Okay. So,
Very good. This is very good, yeah, actually.
yeah.
This is a lot of nuggets.
You can always go back to, I think I'm the only one who has this technique of back translating. It's like- because I know Greek, so I can back translate, but
Él puede
you probably
traducir.
don't.
En varios idiomas.
But how, large a letter I've written you because I've got an eye problem.
Sí, cuán grandes las letras
It
que
doesn't
he
say that.
escribido porque tengan problema del ojo.
Okay.
En ningún lugar dice eso.
In Galatians 4, it
En,
said,
En Gálatas 4
why doesn't it say,
dice,
Galatians 4:13, you know how through an infirmity of my eyes I preached the gospel to you at first. It doesn't say that.
él no dice, pues vosotros sabéis que la causa de mi enfermedad del cuerpo era un problema del ojo
It just
que les
re-
anuncié
it just
al
re-
evangelio, el evangelio del principio.
But-
No
but-
dice eso.
It replaced
I
quepo
got it.
with, okay, eyes.
Oh, she did.
Okay. It doesn't say that.
No dice eso.
Okay, so the first thing to read in all of these is,
Lo primero,
does it say
Cuando
what they
leemos
say it
es-
says?
dice aquí lo que dicen que dice.
And I take it one step further and say, could it say what these people say
Y
it says?
voy a dar un paso más hacia adelante. Dice, podría decir lo que la gente dice que dice.
And in pretty much all the cases,
Y
I
en la
can come
mayoría de los
up
casos,
with a Greek phrase
puedo venir con una gran frase
that was not used.
que no fue usada.
Okay. All right. Okay, we can just. Yeah. All right. So, you all. How long have you been going now? 40?
40.
Okay. You want one more sacred cow? Or you want to take a break?
¿Tienen una vaca sagrada más? ¿O quieren tomar
Yes. One more sacred cow.
una más? Una vaca sagrada más.
I'm just going to turn the page to page 62 and
La página
mine.
62 en el inglés y en
Yeah, that's it.
página 48 español.
Okay. So on and on it goes. Okay. Didn't Paul have a?
62, right? So,
Yeah. They say, what about Job? And didn't Paul have a thorn in the flesh, which was an eye problem, and
¿Qué
he could
decía
get
de
rid of
Job?
it?
¿Verdad? Que Pablo
And then
tenía
they
un problema del
say,
ojo.
didn't Paul leave somebody sick somewhere?
Luego dice, Pablo no dejó personas enfermas por ahí.
And he didn't tell Trophimus to take a little wine for his stomach.
Y después le dijo a Trófimo que se tomara un poquito de vino para el estómago.
All right, so let's read the. Paul left people sick.
Vamos a leer, Pablo dejó personas enfermas.
So 2 Timothy 4:20 says, Erastus abode at Corinth, but Trophimus I have left at Miletum sick.
Segundo de Timoteo 4:20, Erasto se quedó en Corinto y a Trófimo dejé en Mileto enfermo.
Okay. And yet Philippians 2:25-30.
Filipenses 2 del 25 al 30.
Yet I supposed it necessary to send you to you Epaphroditus, my brother and companion in labor and fellow soldier, but your messenger, and he ministered to my wants. For he longed after you all, and was full of heaviness, because that you had heard that he had been sick. Indeed, he was sick, nigh unto death. But God had mercy on him, and not only him only, but on me also, lest I should have sorrow upon sorrow. I sent him therefore the more carefully. You can read all this in Spanish afterward. That when you see him again, you may rejoice, that I may be less sorrowful. Receive him therefore in the Lord with all gladness, and hold such in reputation, because for the work of Christ he was nigh unto death, not regarding his life, to supply your lack of service toward me.
Ok, Filipenses 2 del 25 al 30. Mas consideré necesario enviaros a Epafrodito, mi hermano y colaborador y compañero de milicia, mas vuestro mensajero y ministrador de mis necesidades, porque él tenía gran deseo de veros a todos vosotros, y estaba muy apesadumbrado, porque habíais oído que estuvo enfermo. Pues en verdad estuvo enfermo, cercano de la muerte, mas Dios tuvo misericordia de él, y no solo de él, sino también de mí, para que yo no tuviese tristeza sobre tristeza. Así que le envío con mayor diligencia, para que al verle otra vez os regocijéis, y yo esté con menos tristeza. Recibidle pues en el Señor con todo regocijo, y tened en estima a los que son como él, porque por la obra de Cristo estuvo cercano a la muerte, exponiendo su vida para suplir lo que os faltaba en vuestro servicio hacia mí.
Okay. So here we have that word again.
Aquí tenemos esta palabra de nuevo.
Asthenia.
Asthenia.
Okay, he even has a note here.
Aún tenemos una nota aquí.
Astheneo.
Asthenia.
Okay, these are all variations of the same word.
Es variaciones de la misma palabra.
Astheneo is the verb form.
Asthenia es el verbo de la palabra.
Asthenos would be noun.
Asthenia
Asthenia.
sería el nombre.
And asthenia is just generalized.
Asthenia es generalizado.
The iota alpha works just the same as IA in English.
En el alfabeto.
Yeah. So it does not actually say sick.
Así que no necesariamente dice enfermo.
So for all we know,
Así que por lo que sabemos,
this guy was exhausted, weak or exhausted.
esta persona estaba exhaustada.
And the hint that he was weak or exhausted is in this last
Y la
verse.
clave lo dice aquí en este último verso.
Because for the work of Christ, he was nigh unto death. So
Porque por la obra de Cristo estuvo cercano a la muerte.
so we don't know the details,
No sabemos los detalles,
that he's working himself to death or whatever.
que estuvo trabajando casi hasta el punto de la muerte.
But again, the thing is not to read into it what
Pero nuevamente
it doesn't say.
es no leer lo que no dice,
To only take it for what it does say.
lo tomamos por lo que dice que significa, por lo que dice en la palabra.
Okay. And then, yeah, so that's that sacred cow. Oh, one more before section 7.
Una más.
Timothy's stomach. We have to do Timothy's
Vamos a
stomach.
hacer esto, vamos a Timoteo.
Come on. Okay. This is every wine bibber's excuse.
Esta es, sí, todos los bebedores, la excusa de todos los bebedores de vino.
Okay, so 1 Timothy 5:23 says,
Primera de Timoteo 5:23.
Translate, I get lost. I'm getting lost because I can barely hear you. I need to go a little bit more.
okay.
Laura.
Thank you.
Okay. So 1 Timothy 5:23.
Primera de Timoteo 5:23.
Drink no longer water, but use a little wine for your stomach's sake and your often infirmities.
Y ya no bebas agua, sino usa de un poco de vino por causa de tu estómago y de tus frecuentes enfermedades.
Okay, and guess what word that word infirmities is?
Y adivina cuál es la palabra que usan para la palabra enfermedades.
Asthenia.
Asthenia.
Oh, they have it right here.
Y lo tienen
Okay,
aquí.
so he's weak. We
Él
don't know
está
where he's
débil.
from. Maybe he's traveling.
A lo mejor estaba viajando,
There's bad water. I don't know.
tomó un agua que estaba mala.
What is the big deal?
¿Cuál es el gran problema?
It's like just take some wine from your stomach. There's, and it's not an excuse, of course, for
No hay
getting
una
drunk.
excusa para
He says,
embriagarse.
drink a little wine.
Dice, puedes tomar un poquito de vino.
Okay. So there's not much that you can read
No hay
here.
más mucho de lo que
But-
podamos leer aquí.
Again, it doesn't really say sickness, although if there's something,
Nuevamente no dice aquí enfermedad.
so how much can you take out of that?
Así que, ¿cuánto puedes sacar de esto?
And to conclude,
Para concluir,
that again, people
nuevamente,
strain
la palabra toma
at a few verses to try to find an
cuantos
exception.
versículos pequeños para buscar excusas.
Then they
Excepciones.
generalize the exception
Y luego generalizan esas excepciones
to be the rule
y las establecen como reglas
to the point that
al punto de
you hardly ever see any healings.
que casi nunca puedes ver ninguna sanidad.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Y eso es un problema.
Okay. We all good? Ready to take a break?
¿Listo para tomar un break?